Okay guys, this is my tarp that I've used for years to cover my bike and make a stealth camping tent out of. And today I'm going to start a new project, and I went to the local fabric store who gave me a little hand, and not in the front but in the back of the warehouse they had some military issue fabrics. So as you can see how noisy and rattly this is. And this is a Eureka TCPO tent material. It's ripstop, and as you can see, it's quite gorgeous if you ask me. And we're going to make us a new tarp out of this, and I'm going to invite you guys along with me to see how I do it. And I'm hoping once I'm done it's going to actually be bigger, because you can see it's covering over part of the tarp already. It's going to be wider than the old tarp, and I'm hoping to have enough left over, which as you can see, to make me a nice little bag out of it. So we're going to bring you along with us, and we're going to make this tarp ourselves instead of going out and buying one. Now, let the material lay out a while, flatten out. So we're going to go ahead and cut it now. Kind of hard one-handed. Okay, I'm going to have to turn off the camera, guys, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it into two pieces. And then I'm going to cut my scrap off on the other end, too. So let me get cutting. And doing this tarp, a few of the things you're going to need if you're going to do it. It's a good straight edge. I notice I got a 48 incher here. Good sharp pair of scissors. You will need some good, strong nylon string. You're going to need a grommet kit. I got this one from Northern Tool and Supply. Like I said, I got this from Wally Whirl, and you should see all the safety warnings on this stuff. Stuff's very flammable and very explosive, and you have to use a lot of caution when using this. So, of course, you'll need the material, and we're going to go ahead and spray it next. And you can see I've got my cardboard here. I just taped it together so it'd stay together. A little piece of tape here to hold it while I spray it. Same down here, just a little piece of tape to hold it back while I'm spraying. Alright, let me get the spray in and we'll see how it goes. Alright, for lack of a better way, I've taken my staple gun and I've stapled the edge to the table. You can see right here. And I also stapled it here. Now, this pulls my material nice, straight, and tight, so it'll hold for the gluing process. And forgive me for the bad light, guys, that's all there is here. The same thing down here, and this way I'm going to overlap just over about a ½ inch or so. You can see it's pulled pretty tight, and that helps get some of these wrinkles out of it too. And so the next step would be to mask tape off this side to prevent overspray, and then folding this back and putting some cardboard on this side in order to keep it from overspraying on that side. So we'll do that next. Alright, next I'm taking a painter's masking tape, and I'm making a line with this so that I don't have any overspray when I seal the two together with the glue. I'll show you the glue in a minute. The reason why I'm using painter's masking tape is regular masking tape leaves a lot of residue, and I really don't want to have it on the tarp. This will give you a nice straight line. With a spray. Go. And then next, on this side, I'll put some cardboard behind it to keep it from being oversprayed. Go ahead and put the cardboard down, and you'll see a few little blue tabs there, and all it is just to keep the fabric folded back while I spray it. And I'm going to do the spraying next. I got this from Wally Whirl, and it's for embroidery and for quilting. It's a temporary adhesive, And the only purpose I'm using this for is to glue my two seams together before I stitch it so that it's not moving around and I get an uneven stitching job. So you can get that just about anywhere that sells fabric. And you see the cardboard, it's all set up to go. And you can't see it, but underneath there's a piece of plastic sheeting so that when I spray that I don't even spray the table. I can just roll it up, throw that away. And we'll get to spraying here in a few minutes and we'll get back to you. Okay guys, we're going to get to spraying now. And it did say to shake it for a couple of minutes before I started spraying. Let me get the camera and move it again so you guys can see what I'm doing. Alright, as you can see, I'm moving along here. I don't think I've ever sprayed in front of a camera before, so it's kind of hard to do it. You can see as I'm moving along here, just a nice coat. It did say to, I've got a good coat on it. Let me check, see if I missed any spots. Alright. It said to let it set till it was tacky. Alright, so we've got a good coat on it. We're going to wait till it's, we'll get a little bit down here on this corner here. That's cut off anyway, but I'd rather go ahead and do it. Alright, so now we've got the whole end sprayed with the adhesive. We're going to let it set, get tacky, and then join the two seams together. And then the next step will be to sew it together. Alright. Alright, it's getting tacky. So now I'm going to go ahead and remove my masking tape and get that out of the way. Alright, we'll get that just out of the way. And then we'll go ahead and start folding it down, gently wiping it, gluing it together. Going together quite smoothly. Let me get this tape loose. As you can see, we've got a nice joint going here. Nothing to it but to do it, right? Up right there. There we go. Pull that tape off right here. There we go. And the next part, like I said, will be to stitch it together. I'm going to rub it down a couple more times to make sure the adhesive's good and tight, and then we'll go ahead and do that part. Alright, next I'm taking a painter's masking tape and I'm making a line with this so that I don't have any overspray when I seal the two together with the glue. I'll show you the glue in a minute. The reason why I'm using the painter's masking tape is regular masking tape leaves a lot of residue, and I really don't want to have it on the tarp. This will give you a nice straight line. With a spray. There we go. And then next, on this side, I'll put some cardboard behind it to keep it from being oversprayed. Go ahead and put the cardboard down, and you'll see a few little blue tabs there. And all it is just to keep the fabric folded back while I spray it. And I'm going to do the spraying next. I got this from Wally Whirl, and it's for embroidery and for quilting. It's a temporary adhesive, and the only purpose I'm using this for is to glue my two seams together before I stitch it so that it's not moving around and I get an uneven stitching job. So you can get that just about anywhere that sells fabric. And you see the cardboard, it's all set up to go. And you can't see it, but underneath there's a piece of plastic sheeting so that when I spray that I don't even spray the table. I can just roll it up, throw that away. And we'll get to spraying here in a few minutes and we'll get back to you. Okay guys, we're going to get to spraying now. And it did say to shake it for a couple of minutes before I started spraying. Camera and move it again so you guys can see what I'm doing. Alright, as you can see, I'm moving along here. I don't think I've ever sprayed in front of the camera before, so it's kind of hard to do it. You can see as I'm moving along here, just a nice coat. It did say to got a good coat on it. Let me check, see if I missed any spots. Alright. It said to let it set till it was tacky. Alright, so we got a good coat on it. We're going to wait till it's, we'll get a little bit down here on this corner here. That's cut off anyway, but I'd rather go ahead and do it. Alright, so now we've got the whole end sprayed with the adhesive. We're going to let it set, get tacky, and then join the two seams together. And then the next step will be to sew it together. Alright. Alright, it's getting tacky. So now I'm going to go ahead and remove my masking tape and get that out of the way. Alright, we'll get that just out of the way. And then we'll go ahead and start folding it down, gently wiping it, gluing it together. It's going together quite smoothly. Let me get this tape loose. As you can see, we've got a nice joint going here. Nothing to it but to do it, right? Up right there. There we go. Pull that tape off right here. There we go. And the next part, like I said, will be to stitch it together. I'm going to rub it down a couple more times to make sure the adhesive's good and tight. And then we'll go ahead and do that part. Alright, I'm starting my center stitch here now. So much material here, it's hard to pull it through. Something I'm not quite used to here. Let's get another hole on it. You see it's quite long and it's a little bit tedious here. I think the center is going to be the worst of the two. I've got to put two seams down through here. Okay guys, I'm going to put the second stitching in on my center seam today. You can see I'm starting to do the stitching on the main center seam here. Well, no, I guess it didn't break, but this is definitely making it a lot easier using these clamps. So I've got the material out of the way. First clamp through. There we go. Hopefully a few of my failures will help show you guys how to do it right. Alright, the next part would be to fold this over and then do the 10th fold, and then the last part would be to do the grommets. Okay guys, on my next step here, I've turned the tarp downwards. You see here's the seam and where I glued it. I still will do another fold on this, which they call a tarp for tents and tarps and stuff. They call that a tent fold. I hear that the ladies call it a French fold. But now what I've done is I put a clamp here on the corner. I pulled it tight, you can see, and I didn't know any other way to do it, so I've got it lined up with the edge of the table here, as you can see, in order to make it square. At least that's my hope anyway. So we're going to get to cutting this. We're going to cut even with the table down here. We're going to cut it even with the table. Along here is my guide, and I'll cut it all the way across here. Then I'm going to pull it up about a ½ inch, and I'm only going to do a 1 inch fold across the bottom here. And you can see it looks pretty good. It's tight, and we'll get to cutting on this. Again, I'm using the table as my guide. So we'll start right here at this. They're not perfect, but it'll do. You can see I've got the next step would be to pull it up about a ½ inch so that I'll have a ½ inch below the table, on the side of the table, ½ inch above. And we'll set that up next. Again, I'll be using this blasting spray I got from Walmart. Guys, I gotta say that this stuff is pretty strong. It's good adhesive. And I'm gonna tell you, it's got a ton of warnings. A ton. Alright, so we're just going to simply spray. I'll have to hit my clamp here a little bit, I guess. Don't be shy with this stuff. It'll dry and once it's tacky, then you can fold it over. There we go. Glad there's plenty of ventilation in this place. Alright, there we go. The next step is to let it set and dry till it's tacky. And once it's tacky, then I can fold it. Alright, doing the same thing as I did before. I'm going to spray the sides. There we go. Get a good coat on it, both sides. Like I said, let that get tacky, and then we'll fold it over and do a second fold on it, just as I did on the sides. And it's still holding up pretty good. As you can see right here, it's holding up pretty good. And once these two sides are glued up and ready to go and dry, then I'll be ready for start stitching this thing. All right. I'm going to use my table as my guide for the folding. It doesn't forgive if you make a mistake. This glue does not forgive you in the least, so you've got to do it right the first time. I would love to have a second set of hands right now, but I don't. So, we'll keep going, we'll get it done. I may have got it off just a little bit right there, and we'll let that dry a while. Okay, so you notice my cut job's a little bit wavy in places, but that doesn't matter, because I want to do the same thing on the edges as I did to the front. I'm going with the center. I'm going to do an overlap like this, and that will give it some very serious strength to it on these edges, so I don't have to worry about them ripping, and it'll make it look really nice. So that's the next step, is to roll it over one more time when I sew it. And I still have to cut it down a little bit. It's right now 10 foot wide, which is really nice, but I only want about 8 foot 5, 8 foot 6, maybe even 9 foot at the most wide. It's a little bit too wide right now, so we'll have to measure it and cut it down. Okay, I've got this side now glued down, which will come up there a little bit. By no means am I a seamstress that only work with fabrics. These techniques I've learned along the way. We've got a nice straight line there now. Looks pretty professional. Okay, so we'll do the other side the same way. As you can see again, I've got my cardboard down, and I'm going to spray just the one side this time. Do a nice little fold on this, and that's about it. We'll be back when this glue's tacky. Okay, in this clip, guys, I'm going to cut 4 inches off of my tarp. So right there's 4. I'm using masking tape again as my line that I'll be cutting it off with. And let me double check down here. 4. I'm using a steel rule to help keep my tape straight. There, so now I'll move my steel ruler down again, place it against there, take my tape measure, and continue on until I get to the end. And then I'll take the scissors, cut right along this edge here. That'll help give me a nice straight guide line to go by. Cut down back a little bit here. Double Again, I'm using the painter's tape because it doesn't leave a residue. Okay, hopefully we'll have some success with this. I am cutting through both layers at one time. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put just a little tape there because it keeps moving on me. Maybe not. Gotta take care of it. No, continue on. Much better. As you can see, I've got a very sharp pair of scissors here. Move that out of the way. I'm sure there's probably a better way to do this than using the tape that I'm using. But I'm learning on the fly, guys. I've never done a tarp in my life before. Alright, there we go. Let's see how she looks. Pull this out of the way. Fairly straight cut, guys. I got a little off right here, but it's not too bad. So the next thing will be to glue these up and fold them over like we did the other sides of the tarp. Alright, my next phase is to sew the outside line here. And I realize that I'm not a very good seamstress. And so I've put me a wooden piece here with a clamp to help keep me a straight line here as I go down through on the sides. Make it a little easier. The glue is already starting to give away on this. It's only a temporary adhesive. So I want to get all this sewed up before it all falls apart on me. So we'll start sewing here in a minute and get it going. And you can see how that board lines it up with there, and I'm keeping me right there at the edge of my seam so that I can do a nice straight line here. A big project like this, sometimes it gets a little annoying, and you just got to simply walk away for a minute. Don't get angry. Don't get frustrated, just take your time. I'm by no means perfect with this, but it'll do what I need to do. Stitch, yeah, it looks pretty good underneath. Move up some more material. I've gotten the first two lines done. They're not perfectly straight, but you know, I'm not going to tell anybody. A little off right there, but that's okay. I don't think the rain will cure, and nobody else in the woods will cure, so I guess I'm happy with it. We'll proceed on and do all four corners, and then we'll do the 10th fold last, and then we'll put the grommets in. One of the first things I learned while doing this was you need plenty of bobbins to do this job. There we go. So far I've gone through 6 bobbins sewing this up. There we go. Another one's ready to go. You need several of them to start with. I'd say if you're going to do a large, this is about a 9x9, I'd say start with about 8 bobbins already pre-filled before you even start, so you don't have to keep threading the machine each and every time. Okay guys, while I was doing my center stitch yesterday, I had a little snag. The machine stopped dead, would not go. So we've had to do a little repair to the machine in order to keep it going. A little tune-up. And I guess this would be a good time to give you a word of warning. If you decide to use your wife's machine, be prepared to buy a new one. Otherwise, maybe you better get her involved with it. I guess that's on you guys.